Welcome to Oddball History, dipshits.
You know when you take pre-workout?
No.
Oh,
You
yeah.
get like flush?
Uh-huh.
There's that stuff in it.
Oh, okay. And that's good?
Yeah, it's not bad. It just makes you feel a thing.
All right.
I think that's all you want.
NO booster.
And, yeah, exactly. You just want to feel something. You know?
Well, yeah, I do
So
for
true.
sure.
And that's fine.
So rare.
Yeah.
So rare.
And one of those things you can feel is dishonor,
That's right.
and then you'll duel a man.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today on Oddball History. We're
Welcome
doing
to
famous
Oddball History.
duels.
Duels.
Yeah.
The duality of man, you might say. Because of duality of man?
we're starting there.
But it's
We're starting
different.
there.
It's
Okay, yeah.
with a duels.
Takes.
Way to crack the bat on the opening line.
Hey, when the guy throws
Fucking
his first
podcast.
pitch, you take a swing.
If it was in the 1800s, one of y'all would have to duel me for that.
for that, we would be out front right now. I do like generally duels are about a lady and it's defending honor.
Yes. About a lady or card games. I noticed in our research, those were the top two reasons. Mostly over a lady.
Yep.
Also a lot of card games. A lot of gambling.
And they were way more popular hundreds of years ago. Like they've been around forever.
Yeah, there's been like forms of dueling for as long as people have been around. The Vikings had a form of it and everything. But what we're covering is really more from like the 17th to the 19th century. That was the heyday. I read from 1790 until the Civil War, the dueling in the U.S. Navy that made up for 2/3 as many deaths as like wartime deaths.
Good.
That's how often people were dueling. That's how into honor these guys were.
Yeah. And it was a funny little take somebody had is
That was my opening. That was going to be my first line.
The
I just
Navy
wanted you to
thing?
know that. Yeah.
Did you have a joke associated with it?
No. I just wanted to be involved.
and Scott just opened with it. Like,
I
you
just
missed the
want you
joke,
all to know.
then you... Okay.
Lawrence
Did do research.
Yeah.
He did.
We are going to duel by the end of
That
this for sure.
tidbit was in the very beginning of the dueling Wikipedia page. That's one of the reasons I thought I'd throw it out as like an intro there.
No, it's a great way to
It is
intro.
a good fact, though.
It is a great fact.
It is a
It's a
good-
great fact. You know,
They
we
say-
both have good eyes.
They say,
true.
like, there was kind of a frat guy fight element to it, where it was about the show of it, like guys shoving each other at a bar and not like ever actually fighting. Where it was the threat of it, you'd show up, it was your willingness to do it, and then they'd kind of be like, yeah, okay, we're cool. Or it was like a sword fight to first blood. They weren't always to the death.
Yeah, it was.
They say it kind of fell out of favor once it switched from swords to pistols. And firearms used to be super inaccurate. Like they were balls and cylinders. It wasn't like the, cylindrical bullets that are more accurate now. So you kind of would point and shoot and maybe.
Yeah.
And then as the technology got better, it was just like, oh, I've murdered a man. We're having like a 95% hit rate now.
Yeah.
We should not be doing this.
Well, and over there it was for like nobility with the sword fights. Like it's like it was more something that only the wealthy would do, which I think is weird.
And as we'll get into going through some of these, they had if you challenge someone to a duel, the other person got to choose like the means or weapons.
Yep.
And then
You'd have a second.
And another guy was in charge of being there to officiate to make sure everything went above board.
It seems like the anger would go away by then. Like
That's how
at
you
this
know
point,
you-
at this point, you're suiting up. They're picking out weapons you're not good at. You're just like,
Yeah,
I never
like,
should have
shit.
done this.
That's how
Yeah,
you
but
know.
never should have
their
done this.
honor hadn't been restored yet.
Yeah,
is
you
the
gotta
thing.
restore your
they
honor.
wake up in the morning, they're like, my honor. It's still not restored. And then
Is it going to rain? I feel my honor.
they have to kill someone to restore it.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes, You could actually, it was so, I read also that it was so, when it was at its height, dueling, like if you were in the military, despite it being like technically illegal everywhere, you could be punished for not challenging someone to a duel if your superiors felt that you should have challenged them to a duel.
Yeah.
So there was like a story of a guy, I think it was like in 1814 in the British Army, but he got court-martialed and tossed out of the army because he didn't duel a guy.
So
yeah.
for being a bitch,
We still have that.
It's exactly like in the territories of pro wrestling, how the promoters would fire you if you got your ass kicked in a bar fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're like,
it
you're
broke the
fucking with
illusion.
her.
Yeah.
Shit.
You're supposed to be
you
the
know
toughest
how-
guy in the world.
Yeah.
But we
remember
have
Danzig got punched, knocked out.
Danzig?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You don't remember this?
I remember. No.
Mother. It's like a big tough guy.
Mother.
Yeah.
Tell children not to walk my way. That guy?
Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah.
Well, he got punched one time.
I one time went to when I was in high school, I went to a motocross exhibition at the new American Airlines Center. It was still new.
Nice.
It might have been the first time I was there. And it was cool as shit. The guy who did the first backflip on a dirt bike had just happened, and by this point, everyone was like, we're doing backflips.
Yeah.
So all it was these guys just doing backflips around American. They just had dirt ramps all over the floor of American Airlines Center. It was just backflip after backflip. Very cool. But the soundtrack they had like 3 songs on that soundtrack just on loop, and one of them was Mother. So I always associate Mother with
backflips.
The most. I mean, this is cool, but also I think I might be going insane.
See, look, we just touched brains right there. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to duel you today.
So
that's
the first one we're going to cover is the French fellows that have the hot air balloon duel.
Ooh, I love
them.
this. I love this.
Grand Prix versus Le Pic.
It's a very Looney Tunes thing to do.
That's what they said.
They were like, how are we going to do this? And he was like, should we just stand 20 feet apart and shoot at each other? And he was like, nay.
We are French.
We're going to fly up in a hot air balloon with blunderbusses.
And apparently they said their line for this too was that because they were of elevated minds that they should have an elevated duel, which don't you just hope both of them die at this point in the story? After hearing that remark.
We're too smart for a regular duel.
This would be such a good category on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be on TikTok even more if I could see like 2 dudes going up in hot air balloons just shooting at each other.
Yeah, real niche.
Duels would do really well on TikTok.
It would be on TikTok. If we still dueled, it would be on TikTok for sure.
Yeah, you would get your name out there as a duelist.
Now, was there a winner of the hot air balloon duel?
There was a winner. I believe it was Grand Prix shot down Le Pic. And here's the funny thing about this too. Their seconds went up with them in the hot air balloons, essentially being like, all right, I'll die with you.
Jesus
Christ. Just to prove that this occurred.
Argument. So
it's like that show, What We Do in the Shadows. Like they have like a familiar.
Yes.
I'm imagining he brought his familiar with him.
He's real nervous. He's like, I don't think we should be doing this.
Guillermo.
I'm just imagining Guillermo on the back of the hot air balloon. Be like,
I think I can prove this happened from the ground.
Matt Berry calls him Gizmo. Fucking kills me every time. Gizmo.
His second's cowardice then gets him into a duel with the second of the other guy. But so that's actually a funny one of you're not shooting the guy, you're shooting his hot air balloon.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. They went up and the first guy
Did they
took
have
his
to
shot.
wait? Did they have to wait until it got high enough for it to hurt the other person?
You gotta
because if it's just as soon as it's leaving the ground, if you shoot it, and it's just like boop.
Yeah, it's like paces. You gotta take certain paces and then shoot.
What was it, like 100 feet, 50 feet?
I think we'd be making it up, Lawrence, if we gave an answer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
They did. They have a pretty good account of how high they were, but in any case, Grand Prix. Yeah, Le Pic fired first, missed. Grand Prix then puts one through his balloon. His balloon
How did you
crashes.
miss the whole balloon?
Dude,
that feels very much like, especially with firearms, like those slap competitions.
Yeah.
Like, when you go first and you're like, hell yeah, I needed to go first. And then you slap the guy and he doesn't go down and you're like, I really regret signing up for this. I don't know if I want to get slapped right now.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess he's going to take a shot at me. Like, fuck.
Yeah, so
Did he die?
The guy and his second died. In fact, it said that in the newspaper, it said that them along with their basket was dashed to pieces upon a housetop.
Good.
Which you can't lose a duel by much more than that.
Yeah.
They
really needed the
flawless
ingenuity.
victory.
If only they had as their second Lawn Chair Larry to bring this
They
thing
never would
down.
have got Lawn Chair
Larry. Shout out episode 26, Lawn Chair Larry, maybe 31.
Still
I don't
waiting for him to
remember.
come on the podcast.
We miss you, Lawn Chair Larry.
But then the second one we're going to talk about is the argument two men got into over the greatest Italian poet.
Yeah, this is a short one. It's really just a quick.
It's a funny
anecdote.
line.
It's about
Who was the poet that they were so in love with?
Well, there were 2 poets. They were arguing over which one was better, Okay,
As men do, you know.
sometimes you just got to argue about.
They didn't have albums
poetry
like
with
the
your
softest
bros.
argument. They ended the hardest
you got to
way
think
ever.
about like people were much more well read back in the day because that was
Yeah.
what was available. you
Yeah,
know?
19th century, two Italians.
If they had punk bands to argue about, they would have been arguing about punk bands.
I feel like you're talking bad about punk bands when you say
not.
that, and I don't appreciate it.
In the 19th century, two Italians dueled over whether Ludovico Ariosto or Torquato Tasso was the greatest Italian poet of the 16th century. The confrontation ended with the mortally wounded loser confessing that he had not read the poet he was defending.
Which is a real
man.
dude move.
Classic devil's advocate.
At what point in time?
I will defend this guy that I've been meaning to get around to reading with my fucking life.
At what point in time is your bluff over?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, I don't think The Sopranos is the best show ever. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've never
I'm
seen
also
it.
not going to get
Oh,
into
it's
a
the
knife
best.
fight with
It
you
is.
about it.
Yeah.
I will. I'll do it.
I do like there is some stuff about honor that I like. My buddy Kirby, and it was like a stupid high school fight, and there was a kid that was like definitely gonna whip his ass, and he was real like downtrodden about it. And I was like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" And he was like, "I gotta go fight a guy," and he wasn't like a fighter type. And he was like, "Why?" He was like, "Well, I'll look like a bitch if I don't show up."
Yep.
I was like, "Kirby, you're a good ass dude."
Hell yeah.
Did you guys have a street you'd meet on? We had a duel street. We had a street to duel upon.
There was a couple spots.
Yeah, we had a street called Stratford, and that was like if anybody said meet me at Stratford after school, like everybody, yeah, and there'd be a whole group over
The
there after school.
cafeteria was aghast.
Yeah,
So I do love that one. And then we have the Hamilton-Burr. We'll do a highlight. That's a big one. Big names. They made
That's
a
your,
musical.
that's your Cadillac of duels right there.
Yeah.
The
And this-
Hamilton-Burr.
and this is between a president. And,
Hamilton was he was never a president.
I'm sorry. What was he?
It was a vice president and
Secretary of Treasury.
Secretary of
Okay, there we
Treasury.
go.
Yeah. But he was on the $20 bill. Super important for America's
First
founding.
duel that ever started off as a rap battle.
Yeah, it was a rap battle.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I'm not the most.
The historical document. I don't know. Hamilton the musical.
I feel like one time I backed down from a duel, but I wasn't. So when you say that, I was thinking about duels, and one time I was drinking in Austin. This is like 15 years ago, and I guess I look different. This guy comes up to me and just taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Hey man, do you want a rap battle?" And like I remember thinking too long about it because I've never rapped in my life. But
He should
I-
have rapped the challenge.
I took-
That's how you know he wasn't a serious challenge.
But I just go, no. But what made you ask me that? He goes, you just look like somebody who would. And I was like, thank you. I think that's a nice compliment.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's a
He
compliment.
was wearing a big gold rope chain.
I had a Flavor Flav clock on at the time.
This is my going out clock.
This is my going out clock.
It's popular in the media
You know what
right
time
now.
it is.
But yeah.
I liked no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it ended up killing Hamilton.
That he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, most historians agree.
He's dead.
Burr killed Hamilton. I liked reading in the part where Hamilton he said to the doctor, he was like, "Doctor, this is a fatal injury." And I like to imagine the doctor being like, "Whoa there, I'm the doctor here, all right?
Yeah.
I think I'll be the judge of that." Oh wait, never mind. Because he died.
You're gonna die.
In the intervening time there.
Hey, who called who here?
You know
All
what's- you know
I'll
what-
do the diagnosing.
And then you know what's fucked up is he came back to life for a second, and he like told them what to do with his gun, and then he died again. Died twice.
Why did they duel?
Died so nice, he did it twice.
Yeah, death's so nice he did it twice.
That old saying.
Why
And then the doctor was like, "Knew it!" Fucking when he came back to life, you know.
I told you.
I knew it. I'm the one.
Let's see the next fun duel.
I'm the one who learned how
Batting
to
1,000
put
again.
leeches on people.
Here we're getting into the weird area of dudes starting to get creative with picking stuff. We have Otto von Bismarck versus Rudolf Virchow.
Yeah, that's how I've been
Great
saying
names.
it.
Yeah.
Otto von Bismarck, hey, big guy in history. You're welcome on the pod anytime.
Anytime.
Bismarck.
We'll get the fourth one for you. Padma hasn't gotten back to us.
That's right. We will. We'll pull out all the stops for you. Jimmy has a box full of nerd candies over there. Not just regular nerds either. Also the gummy clusters.
Sure, good. It's a good candy.
Pretty solid.
Very
Never had
solid.
them before, but you know I like to be on the forefront of
the
all
sweets.
of candy subjects. You know, but Otto von Bismarck, hey, he was going to duel this guy.
And then the guy was, pretty much like, I'm not a fighting man, you know?
I don't
It's
care
like,
for
so what I'm
duels.
going to choose is sausages.
Our weapons is sausages.
One of the sausages will be infected with bacteria, so you'll have food poisoning.
The old poison in the sausage trick.
Yeah. And then Otto von Bismarck showed up to this game of sausage Russian roulette and went, all right, I guess we're good now.
Yeah.
They just didn't do it?
They just didn't do
He
it.
was like, I would rather not
Yeah.
eat a what are we doing? Wait, I'm sorry.
I would rather. Let me try to hear you again. Let me say it all together. Tainted sausages.
Like,
Okay.
it's hard to walk away from a duel not doing it with your honor. By being like,
Yeah.
wait, you didn't duel him? Let me tell you what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, he did some bitch shit. That's what he wanted. He wanted to eat sausages.
Yeah.
Making eye contact the whole time.
sausages.
And you wouldn't eat the sausages? You would say as his friend, you know? Be like,
But it's also a pretty easy way out of the duel. Like, you're just going to be sick for a day.
no,
I
it
think
would
they
have
would've
killed
died.
him. No, it was like a
Oh,
fully,
okay.
like you would have died sausage.
It was one of
You
them
know those?
sausages.
You know those? I feel like
You've
us
been to
as-
7-Eleven at 2:30 on the wrong side of
I
town.
feel like us as comics, we've all been in a town that doesn't have anything open after a show, where the only thing to eat is stuff from a gas station.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Good
we all
old
have
Love's.
some experience in eating a sausage that may or may not kill us, you know?
Especially
Yeah.
when there's not that many on there. There's like 2,
And it's hard to eat.
and you're just like,
There are
ooh,
2 in there.
how long has that been? I'm
yeah.
gonna do it.
It's been there a little bit. I always think of the Seinfeld when they're reopening that old theater, and there's
Yeah.
a hot dog on the roller, and Kramer eats it to. It's a.
Jesus
It's a hard to watch. It's like Allie eating the one of Jimmy's
God,
dogs.
let's not get
eats,
into that, please.
Duck shit.
Yeah.
It slurps it up. It's graphic.
It's her favorite.
I'm going to
thing.
throw up.
The sound you're imagining in your head of the slurping, it doesn't even do it justice.
It's,
It's her favorite thing.
And
Some say those hot dogs on rollers, they built the gas stations around them. They've always been there.
I like that. Yeah. They exist.
The eternal flame of Quick Trip.
They exist outside of
Quick Trip
time.
doesn't decide where gas stations go. Just the hot dogs show themselves to us in visions. And then we go and
Slowly rotating hot dogs, hovering in air at first.
build. Yeah. Outside
They
the
just
bounds
appear.
of man. They just appear. All right, moving on down the list before we break Lawrence.
Sausages.
Was it Melon versus L'Enfant?
Oh, those are the guys who threw
Pool balls, billiard
pool
balls.
balls at each other. One killed the other with a direct shot to the head.
Which they-
This seems the most violent. Like, I read this one about this one last night, and this seems like if
It's like a stoning to death.
yeah, but with pool balls, like
Yeah.
you don't want to get hit with a that's
Which
not.
they pretty much stand 20 feet apart and have a sack of billiard balls and just start hucking them at each other one at a
it
time.
was 20 yards apart.
Were you allowed to move, I wonder, in the rule set?
that would have been cowardly.
Yeah.
Just knowing about boxing at the time, and boxing, it was considered cowardly to dodge a punch. So just knowing that, I would bet it was not.
cowardly.
It was very frowned upon
And
to
so
move out
one
of the.
Man.
Did kill the other guy.
I always
Yeah.
thought about that with like the flinching game everyone plays when they're young, where it's like, it's good to flinch. And we all trained ourselves not to flinch,
Yeah.
to not be embarrassed. But it's like, you're supposed to flinch so you don't get punched in the face. Flinching's a good reaction. You
Yeah.
know?
You sound like you were really bad at the
Yeah,
flinching.
you really
sound like a
you
fucking
sound like a real pussy right now. If we're being honest, you know.
All right, my bad, guys. But that
Next
is
time
the,
I see you at the club, I'm gonna just do that to you so fast. Yeah.
and then we have what is it? Humphrey Haworth?
Howarth.
Howarth.
Howarth. God,
Versus
Versus
Lord Barrymore.
Lord Barrymore.
Was Lord Barrymore the surgeon?
He was Drew's grandfather, and he actually. No, I ran out of things to say there. He was just some English guy, as far as I know.
And
he
Humphrey was the surgeon.
Humphrey was the surgeon, yes, because Humphrey was the one he knew, as from his work in surgery, he knew that bullet wounds were often made worse by bits of clothing being jammed in them when the bullet
Yep.
enters. So he showed up naked.
We were starting to get bacteria. We didn't
Yeah,
quite understand.
exactly.
Oh, so he showed up naked.
He showed up naked
Bare
in
ass
only
naked.
his dainty underwears with his pistol in hand, and he was apparently a very fat guy. It was not a pleasant sight.
Yeah.
And
Now you're in a gunfight with a fat guy in panties. It
so
throws everyone off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Lord Barrymore shows up, and it's like Bismarck with the sausages all over again. He's like, "What even is this? I'm not participating in this." And he leaves.
Then
Pants
leave,
on.
I just love the idea of a fat dude in underwear just yelling at another man. Well, then leave without your honor, then, sir.
Stand and face me.
Stand and face me, or leave without your honor. Like those both sound like threats at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Like if it's a smaller room, leave without your honor is not a good thing.
He asks his people, "Fellas, is it gay to duel naked?" Man.
There was I forgot the name on this one, but there was a funny one about a blacksmith. This was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but it wasn't Lincoln. It was a blacksmith, and a nobleman challenged him to a duel, and he was like, "Oh, duels are pretty gay. I don't think I need to fight you." He's like, "I'm just a blacksmith. I'm good without having the honor. I don't think I need to
he
die
said-
for this."
Yeah, his friend was like, "You have to fight him, or people will think you're not a gentleman." And he was like, "I'm not a gentleman. I'm a blacksmith."
But so the blacksmith
Dipshit.
was like,
I'm not sure if he said
He
dipshit.
probably said, "Welcome to Blacksmith Podcast."
It was
dipshits."
implied.
Yeah. But he was like 6'2", and the guy that challenged him was like 5'8". So he was like, "Okay," and he picked the rules of the fight, and it was they used sledgehammers as weapons, and it took place in 6 feet of water.
Yeah. Genius.
Genius. So the guy ended up not doing it because he was going to hold a heavy thing in water over his head, and then he was sitting there with like his nose sticking out, holding the sledgehammer over his head.
And the version I read was like the guy who was the good duelist, who was smaller, the nobleman. All his friends were like, "You got to stand on a box, and then you can duel him." And then he was like, "I can't duel anyone this hilarious." And it said they became friends after that, which did
I
not
love that.
happen in like a single one of these, aside from this one. It's not a common outcome.
Yeah, they did become friends. They're like, "All right, dude, you're pretty cool."
Yeah.
And then we have one where a dog was legally in a duel.
Oh yeah, this one's great.
Legally.
From
What makes it legal?
1400 in France. This is truly one of my favorite stories I think I've ever read. Chevalier Macaire
Yep.
versus Aubry de Montdidier's dog.
A greyhound.
1400, a greyhound. Mondidier was murdered.
Which that was 600 years closer to wolves. So let's assume it was a big ass greyhound. You know?
Yeah, I would imagine so. So the greyhound is the only witness to the murder. It actually takes Mondidier's friend to where the corpse is. They find the corpse. The dog goes to live with the friend. Not long after that, they're out and about in Paris, and they run across this dude, and the dog viciously attacks him. And everyone takes this as, "Oh, that's the fucking murderer,"
Yeah.
because it was a very well-mannered dog. Otherwise, they're like, "This dog, we know him.
Yeah.
He's cool."
Which is what everyone at a dog park says.
He
They're
was-
like, "My dog's usually very sweet. I don't know what happened there."
But they're right. In this case,
And
they're very right.
it goes to court.
It actually goes to court. The king becomes aware of this dog accuser
Yeah.
manner thing. And so they're brought before the king. The royal highness says, "Trial by combat. You got to fight the dog."
I love that the king's just having a bored day. He's like, "You know what?
I declare single combat.
This clearly does not require single combat, but I'm just having a day.
We're doing it.
I'm just having a day.
Somebody
dies.
A forefather of the league commissioner from Air Bud. All right.
So
the
combat.
The guy was able to have a lance, and
They
they
gave
said
him
the
a lance.
dog could use its natural weapons, such
Its
as its teeth. So the dog already had 50 little lances. You can't have a dog with a spear taped to
Yeah.
it.
but it'd be pretty badass, though.
So the dog ends up pinning the dude and grabbing him by his throat, and then the guy yells like, "Get the fucking dog off me, and I'll admit to the murder."
Yeah, I confess.
And so the dog got justice for
The
its
dog
owner.
stood up and straightened its tie.
Just the best episode of Wishbone that's ever happened.
The best episode of Wishbone ever.
So justice was served.
Yeah. Cool dog, man.
Yeah, great
Aren't
dog.
dogs the best? That's like a really
bless him.
It's a different version of Lassie.
Yeah.
Like he's not in a well. He's been murdered.
He's been murdered.
it's like a really bloody
Fucking
version of one of
Rambo,
those
Lassie out for blood.
like a really gory version of one of those dodo videos on Instagram. Because it's kind of sweet, but it's also about a man getting his fucking throat bitten out.
Yeah.
But the dog got it done.
That dog was just out for justice, you know?
What a way to go down in history. You know what I mean? What a way to be remembered.
Speaking of just wildly aggressive violence,
Hell
this
yeah.
one is very prison fighty.
Yeah.
And it was Colonel Barbier Dufay versus Captain Raoul de Vere.
We got a colonel versus
Have y'all ever heard how French people say the name Raoul? It's fucking crazy.
What is it? No.
I was watching Lupin on Netflix, and his son's name Raoul, and it's just like, oh, that's how it fucking sounds.
I think that's pretty. I think that's a little.
That's right.
Gross misstatement. You know, I don't support that at all.
Oh, that's what they say.
The French people are good people,
Listen, I love you, the French.
despite what everybody says.
You can say
No,
Raoul.
I'm a
better,
fan. Listen, I like the way you guys won't. They try to raise your pension age, and you say, "Fuck that! We're setting everything on fire."
Yeah,
I
I
respect the
respect
shit
that.
out of
That
it.
is- that- I do respect that a lot.
But your pronunciation of Raoul is fucking crazy. No. This is a direct appeal to you, President Macron. I need you.
Address this.
You're welcome on the pod next week if you want
we
to.
will go to fourth mic.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we do it around 2:00, and we will not move the time. we will not move the time.
It's convenient for everybody.
Yeah, it's really convenient for everybody.
So this guy, they get obviously over a lady, some dumb shit, and part of their rule set that they
I love that.
decide,
Just some lady, some dumb shit.
it's all dumb shit, but they get into a carriage.
And this isn't how it started. It started with a sword fight, and
Yeah.
one was beating the other, and the other was like, "We should do this a different way."
Yeah,
Which is
really
hilarious.
unplug,
And that's when they
the
thought
controller
that-
situation.
Yeah. Actually, the one who lived briefly, we'll talk about it in a minute. He was the one who was like, "We should change the way we're doing this," because he was. But yeah, so then they get in a car. What is it?
They get into a carriage, and there's some like fancy garden thing, and they do 2 laps around the garden.
Oh yeah, the Place de Carousel.
And they take their left hands and tie it behind their backs, and then they
And
both
to
have,
each other, right?
they're like
to each
tied
other.
to each other, and then they get knives, and they see who wins.
They just stab the fucking
And
shit
by all
out of each other.
accounts, they just stab the shit out of each other.
Yeah, like when the car comes back around after its second loop around the Place de Carousel, they like open it up, and the one guy is like stumbling but still alive. The other guy's completely dead, and the back seat is just a goddamn Tarantino movie.
Yes. Just a nightmare.
Just a horrible.
And so
I bet his last thought was like, we should have kept doing it the other way.
I was winning.
This
Yeah,
was
I don't know.
terrible.
I want the record to show that I was winning.
should not have I'm playing the rest of this duel under protest. he's being stabbed. Formal protest.
But yeah, one guy died in the carriage, and the other guy died very shortly after getting out of the carriage.
Nobody wins.
So crazy.
Well, just having the idea of
some
tying
of
to
these-
each other with a knife.
Some of them
It seems
work
like that's
so
the one where you
wild.
could be like, hey, this is crazy. And everyone else around would be like, no, that is like, you guys, we got to do it a different
And
way.
I read.
What about Your Honor?
Yeah, I mean, we got billiard balls if you guys want to do that. We got billiard balls.
I read when Bowie knives first came into fashion, like in Texas and throughout
Alamo.
the South, people were dueling with those. Like people were they would just duel with they were like, what is it? Yeah, I'll duel with that.
It's, I really love the dueling in Harry Potter.
You just got to defend your honor with whatever's around. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I say.
You just look around. I pick glasses. We use glasses.
I pick a really sexy statue of a woman getting her hair pulled.
Yeah,
I pick a
love
pretty
that statue.
sweet Hank
If you
Hill.
showed that to any of these duelists, like these
That would offend
Victorian duelists, they would faint.
Apparently,
next.
do you guys? I have a few. The Woody the Woodpecker show. He
What
was
are you-
famous for dueling.
Woody the
Familiar with this?
Woodpecker?
Yeah. It said one time he dueled Buzz Buzzard by throwing a box full of TNT dynamite into the iron oven in which the buzzard was trapped, killing him on the spot and sending him straight to hell. So that was an episode of Woody the
Was
Woodpecker.
that they brought hell into the cartoon?
Into the cartoon.
That doesn't
apparently.
sound like it followed the formal dueling rules, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
To me,
All right.
Yeah.
you know, did
Any other old
the
Looney
buzzard
Tunes
have
you looked
did
up?
the buzzard have dynamite as well?
And here's a duel.
You
Scott.
have to each have the same weapon.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well,
I
once
know
he's
Woody
defeated, he
Woodpecker
can throw
knows
TNT.
that. I know
Lawrence did some research and stayed up late watching Looney Tunes last night.
Hey, Woody Woodpecker is not Looney Tunes.
Which one was he?
Did you know that
He
one
was his
time?
own
Did you know that one time Homer imitated Zorro and inadvertently challenges a gun-toting Southern
yeah, that's
colonel
a good
to a
one.
duel?
That's a pretty good one.
That's my Simpsons reference for the next 3 years.
Oh, welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome. I'm the guy that does the Simpsons references. That's my thing.
But then we had one with Miyamoto Musashi, the famous samurai / dueler,
This was a cool one.
versus Sasaki Kojiro. Now,
Yeah,
Miyamoto,
samurais are fucking cool. It's just
They
a
really
cool
are.
like
thing.
he had the Miyamoto's famous, like the Book of Five Rings. So people
Oh, you
still
don't have to
read
tell
it.
me about the Book of Five Rings, Jimmy.
Once you
Right.
know the way, once you see the way, you see the way in all things.
That's right.
I was racist. I don't support that either. You guys are 0 for 2 on the culture references over here. Yeah.
Well, so he had like a power move deal where they met on this like weird island in the middle of a stream to do their duel.
Sounds
and they
beautiful.
set it. Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
There's cherry blossom leaves blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
And the guy gets there on time, and Miyamoto's like, "I'm gonna show up 8 hours late. Fucking rattle this dude." And so the guy's there and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm pretty rattled if you're 8 hours late,
Yeah,
too, dude.
you're still there.
I'm not there. No,
That's
I'm
when they
gone.
didn't have like phones. You're just like, I guess we got to stay for a day or two. Maybe you got the days wrong. Is that
After 2 hours, I'm like, I won. And
Yeah.
I just leave. Yeah.
But so he rows up on a rowboat, and he just uses one of the oars as his sword.
Yeah, it sharpened an oar into a wooden sword, like a training sword, on the way there. Really baller.
Really
Musashi
baller.
here.
And then he pretty much hopped out of the rowboat, and just whacked this dude, and broke his ribs, punctured a lung,
Killed him.
killed him right there.
A little boy with an unusually deep voice was happening by, and he said, "Fatality." It was the first time anyone had ever said that.
Yeah, that's where that came
was
from.
the invention.
How did he row a boat and shave a knife out of a thing at the same time?
Because he's awesome.
I don't know. That sounds like you guys made it up.
Okay, well,
Pretty
how dare
racist
you.
of you.
Yeah,
There's
pretty
one
good. No
Japanese
offense-
duel,
no
and
offense
all
to
of
the
a sudden,
Japanese, but
You saying a Japanese man can't accomplish something
well, I
he
mean,
set
they
his
were
mind
both
to?
Japanese, right?
Only one of them
was going to
Only
win.
one of them was in a rowboat.
Okay, all right.
I mean, the other one probably
Yeah, Lawrence
was in
is
a rowboat.
over
Honestly,
one.
I don't like the fact that the guy that was 8 hours late won. Like, to me, I kind of hate that.
That just
You know?
goes to show.
And he wasn't 8 hours late because, like, oh, I'm going to shake him. He was 8 hours late because he had to make a sword. It takes a while.
No, he made the sword
It
on
was
the
just a
way,
stick.
though.
But how did he row the boat? I think, yeah.
Well, he wasn't the only one on. He
Yeah.
had a guy rowing the bote. He wouldn't be rowing
okay.
the boat.
Oh,
He has
somebody
to
else. I didn't know
save his
he had a
energy.
familiar. I didn't know Guillermo was in the boat. Guillermo. As he's shaving his sword.
I like how quickly you can go from that's totally absurd to okay, yeah.
I mean, if Guillermo's there and he's
another guy.
Oh, a second guy?
Another guy was rowing the boat. God damn! Why didn't you start
I'm
with
just
that?
saying, you guys said it.
I wouldn't have fought this so hard.
I just don't like the fact that the guy that was 8 hours late won. I don't think anybody who's 8 hours late should
Lawrence
win.
Big on
believes-
punctuality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big on punctuality. You should be there on time.
Lawrence
I
was
don't know.
7 minutes early today. Scott was 2 minutes late. So let that be a note.
Yeah.
What Lawrence believes in.
I was carving a sword. Carving a sword at stoplights.
Then who drove?
People were a drifter I hired for that very purpose.
And here's the last one.
Standing guard at my car.
Oh, the last one.
Is the two Vietnamese ladies that dueled topless.
Viennese.
Okay.
Not Vietnamese.
I love a good fond meme.
They were Viennese.
Scott shared notes, and I definitely read Vietnamese in my head.
Oh, they were
Yeah.
not Vietnamese.
No.
They were
From Vienna.
Viennese.
There
They were
you go.
from Vienna.
Viennese. Oh, okay.
They were
the
high-
sausages.
They were exactly.
Okay, yeah, I
Hey,
remember. God,
shout
those-
out Vienna
God, those
sausages.
If you want to sponsor the pod,
Big fan.
Yeah.
I will fucking slurp down a whole goddamn can of your shit.
Of just
I need
gelatinous.
money.
Slurp is the
My
worst
kids are
word.
fucking dying.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anyone to blame but you, Vienna sausages, for you refusing to buy advertising space on this show. I know this is kind of a strong arm tactic, but we need you, Vienna sausages. We need you. Why?
Vienna sausages.
Why did Vienna sausages?
I have a family Vienna
Why are you
sausages.
hurting my family? Vienna sausages. You're taking food out of my kids' house.
Right, so these two ladies.
The bane of my existence. Like, why is that the bit?
Okay, so these two Vienna sausages are going at each other.
Yes.
And this is our. And what happened?
All right,
It's
so
two ladies and they're topless.
They're very high society ladies. Is one of the funny things about this. They're very fancy ladies. These ladies.
So someone had to take their Gucci off.
Actually, the duel arose. They hated each other for a long time. They were just in the court together, and they didn't care for one another. There was a lot of sniping going on, very much like a Real Housewives, a sort of Vienna.
It is a very
Viennese Real Housewives, except these women were willing to stand on business. Is the difference? And they were like, there was a flower arrangement for like a big party they were having, and they had a big disagreement. Like one of them was like the head of the so-and-so committee for the party, and the other one was like the head of something, and there was a disagreement over flower arrangements. So they were gonna duel with swords, and they thinking like old Howarth from the other one were thinking we don't want to get clothes in our wounds, so they were gonna duel topless. Which much sexier that way.
Much sexier.
Yeah.
Which, much like the lingerie football league, you really do a disservice both to women and football.
It's really funny to, and it's really funny to think that this really happened. It so sounds like if you saw that like in
I'm
like,
imagining like a Black Friday
like a National
episode,
Lampoon
just like
presents.
everybody's rushing into shop.
Black Mirror?
National Lampoon presents Vienna in the 1800s, and these women are like, we have to take our tops off before we duel. That is so unrealistic.
Yeah.
They would never just take their tops off to duel. But fucking sure enough, they did. And they dueled, and they had witnesses there, but for propriety, all the men turned their backs, and then they started the duel, and they're fucking each other up with swords, and of course screaming as they do. And so the guys are turning around to rush to help, but they had like a lady who was like kind of she was the second. She was like the second, but for the entire duel, it seemed.
It's just Guillermo again. I just imagine Guillermo trying to protect these ladies.
She was running around.
Guillermo's a vampire.
She was running around with an umbrella, hitting guys that were going to try to help the women because he thought they were just trying to get a grope in or something. She was like, "You're not trying to help them. They're
that bleeding stab lady. You have ill intentions.
Quit
sir.
trying to rush over it." The guy's like, "I'm a doctor."
Quit trying to render aid. She's topless, you pervert.
Yeah.
You disgust me. That's what I would have said.
I hope y'all learned a lot about duels today.
I think the thing we learned most is that dueling is really cool, and that we should bring back politicians killing each other with guns.
I'm pro that one, just to get rid of a few of them.
There are some good.
You really want to be president? Like that's a good. Like, oh, you want to be president? You want to be president?
We get rid of Joe Biden pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, that would happen real quick. Yeah. It'd become a young man's game. You know what I mean? Like,
do we need some young blood in there?
We do. Who's the guy that's boxing people now? That was the YouTube guy.
Jake Paul.
Yeah. Like that guy would be fucking tried to be like, I can duel. I can do that. Fuck that. Yeah.
Terrible idea. I hate that idea so much.
About dueling?
Scott, you got anything to add?
About Jake Paul.
I was saying, if somebody could pivot into dueling and then become the president.
They're just there to duel, but I guess they can be president now.
It's like that movie Idiocracy. I could see him he just keeps pivoting into different things until it's
And it is. Our weapons are too good too. That's the other thing.
Then we have the technology to build old weapons. Like, give them the ones that suck.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is
just
true.
Give them the ones that suck.
Yeah, you're right. Slingshots. Do more slingshots.
Yeah.
We just got to get
the first debates when there's like way too many people with a podium.
Yeah,
like all of them right there. And then we cut it down to 4 real quick.
They should
everybody pair off. Everybody pair off.
They have one microphone on top of like a mountain type thing, like they had in American Gladiators that you had to climb up. And it's King of the Mountain style. You get up there and you got to shout your shit really fast because there's another guy coming up and he's going to fucking knock you down.
Yeah.
I would tune into that. You want to bring the
youth back into politics.
The youth back into politics.
I'm just imagining like politicians doing
King
like
of the Mountain
in suits, doing like some like American Gladiator. Remember that show, American Gladiator? Yeah, just doing some American. Like that's how we decide in the future.
I did this to you last episode. When you said a thing, and I went, "Oh, do you mean this?" And you went, "That's what I said."
That's what I said.
Yeah, he was talking about American Gladiator.
Oh, I don't remember the name of the specific events that happened.
I used this. No, I said American Gladiators. By that, I was like, it was like an American Gladiator.
All right. Well,
that's okay. You know,
bat 900.
Hell yeah. Lawrence, you got any shows coming up or anything?
No. I think I'll be at Backdoor this weekend.
Nice.
Got the final mix back on the audio for the special.
Hell yeah.
January 27th. We're announcing January. We're going to have a party.
Nice.
Stay tuned.
That'd be cool.
Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving?
I had a good one. Did it at the station. It was fun. I ate I think I literally had 14 deviled eggs.
Oh, hell
It was a
yeah. Oh, that's
problem.
I ate a
disgusting.
bunch.
I did not
I love
feel
them.
good for a while, but it was worth it.
Did you work improv this last weekend?
Yeah, I was working.
I was gonna ask you
opening
about that
for
weekend.
Tone Bell.
How is
at
he?
Addison. He was great.
He's one of those guys that was took off right before I started.
Yeah.
So I've never met
Because
him.
he's not from here originally, but he started comedy in Dallas, and so all the people that have been around for a long time remember him.
Yeah.
I never met. He was already gone by the time I started.
Yeah, he was
was
he was around for a second when I started.
Because
And
he
then
was
took off, right?
super nice, great hang, and it was
Yeah.
funny on stage. I don't know, it was just
Yeah, Tone's cool.
he
He's
was
always
fun,
been
it
a
was fun
cool
to work
guy.
with. And he lives in Austin now.
Oh, okay.
So-
looked like a great weekend.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Charity was there too.
Yeah. Okay.
She's
that's what I
always
saw,
fun to
yeah.
work with.
Fuck yeah, I love Charity.
Yeah.
December 17th, Addison Improv. Going to be on Vinny's and Fringe show.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
December 7th, one of the hyenas. December 14th, the
If I don't have my
Whichever
calendar out,
one, you know?
I can't tell you. I got a bunch of shows in January. Headline in Mana's The Dive thing.
Oh, that's
Doing
fun.
another headline set in January.
I always have fun there, I
I
think.
forget what it is. Doing a show at Big Laugh, the new club going in Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, I worked with Jacob Marshall the other night,
Yeah.
and he was talking to me about.
Isn't that in the old hyenas?
The old
The
one.
building?
Oh,
The old hyenas building?
you know what? I never went to the one on Main Street. I only went. I went when it was on the other opposite side, but still in the basement.
Yeah, and they had I remember the open mic had the railing.
The
that
red
went
room,
around.
and it was way high. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when I
yeah.
started when it was over there.
I went to that one maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, we were all brand new.
Yeah.
I
Brian
remember
Posehn was hanging
Brian
out.
Posehn.
Yeah, that night I remember really
That's
well.
like everyone's favorite night is because he headlined the main room, and there was a fucking shitty open mic with us 8 years ago, being bad at comedy, and he stood in the back and watched and gave people notes and was very thoughtful and nice.
And very kind. Yeah.
I was like,
that's
fucking
awesome.
Brian Posehn rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He really does. I got to open for him once. It was very cool for me.
I featured
So I
for him
loved,
one time on a random when they call you last minute.
Yeah, that's always
I was
cool.
like, hell yeah, and I gave him the little
Comedians of comedy.
yeah.
I've never
so good.
had this experience. So, man, that's
Loser.
sad. Yeah.
Did you ever see Comedians of Comedy?
Yeah. Maria
So
Bamford,
good. Yeah,
Patton
Maria
Oswalt.
Bamford,
Yeah,
Pat
yeah.
Galifianakis. Zach Galifianakis, I know.
All right, Scott, you got any wise words to end on?
No, not really. You know what? I was driving by an old Krispy Kreme donuts, and I was thinking, you know how I like to think of myself as a citizen first? Like, I like to think of myself before even comedian or level 62 Mario Kart player. I like to think of myself as a citizen.
single goddamn thing.
Not a goddamn cent, Mario Kart. I will never buy a gold pass. I want you to get that through your thick fucking skull. But anyway, I was driving by a Krispy Kreme, and I noticed how they have the light that comes on when they have fresh donuts. Don't you think it would be a good idea if we had a big light up donut outside of every home in America, and that way you, as the fire department and emergency personnel, could see if they were having an emergency, they could just light up their donut, and then you would know which house to go to.
That would be convenient.
Think about it. Just maybe pitch it at the next. I don't know, firefighter meeting?
Yeah.
Big citywide firefighter meeting. That's all I've got.
And thank you until next time.
And if anybody wants to duel, we fucking accept.
Whoa, no.
Wait.
Across the board, we all accept any duel anybody wants to challenge us
Lawrence
with.
is like-
we're starting with Jimmy. He's the biggest, but we'll get to me eventually. I'm the lowest in height, so I
Lawrence
go
is like-
last. But if
Lawrence is
anybody
like,
wants
I
to
want
duel,
to do the car one. I want to do the car.
but if anybody wants to duel, not in 6 feet of water, but outside of that, we accept.
All right. See y'all next time.